Hello and welcome to Oddspedia Bundesliga Matchday 34, last match day in Germany with some things on stake, especially a last spot for the Champions League. Ronan Murphy, hello, how are you?
I am good. I'm looking forward to this last week of the Bundesliga, and it's great to be finished the season. And thanks to all our viewers and commenters throughout the season for keeping us sane and keeping us insane at different times.
Exactly. Well, Ronan, tell me, Frankfurt, Freiburg, or Borussia Dortmund for this last spot?
Frankfurt for third and Borussia Dortmund for fourth, and we'll be also any Freiburg fans are going to be sad, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we can check now. No, we can check the final countdown. Only. Well, guys, let's analyze what we have in the Bundesliga. All games to be played on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. local time. So don't forget to show us some love. Press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Well, we have some games with nothing on stake in this last match day in the Bundesliga, but still we could make some money, starting with Augsburg, Union Berlin. Augsburg, they've been on holidays for a while, therefore 3 consecutive defeats. Union Berlin lost 3-0 at home to Heidenheim after 4 consecutive draws. So 2 teams, Ronan, that they haven't won in a while.
Yeah, I think the feet are up for both teams. The minds are on something else. They are already looking forward to the end of the season. Augsburg 11th, a high of 10th and a low of 12th. So they're where they are on the table. And Union Berlin are a high of 13th and a low of 13th. So they are 13th. Unless, of course, they overturn an 18-goal difference with Wolfsburg, but that's not going to happen. So, yeah, both these teams are exactly kind of where they're going to finish at the end of the season. So this is a match that both teams probably aren't that interested in. They have other things in their mind. Maybe we'll see some of the fringe players, some of the youth players. Obviously, Augsburg will see them. Maybe give a young forward a run out. Samuel Asende is suspended after his 10-minute red card against Stuttgart. That was why they got hammered last week. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one goes on paper, but not on television. I would not watch this if you can find a stream or anything like that, because all the matches on the final day of the Bundesliga season are all on the same time, at the same time. So I don't think anybody will be watching this one. A draw is 360 in this one, 366. That could be a good option. The last 4 meetings between all the teams are all 2 total goals or lower. 3 of them were both teams to score no. Total goals in this one could be another option to go for. Total goals under 2.5 is 234. I'm thinking this is going to be a snooze fest because both these teams have 0 to play for. 7 of the last 12 meetings between the two sides are both teams to score no. 3 of Augsburg's last 4 games were both teams to score no. So this one is both teams to score no written all over it. 250.
Augsburg to win and both teams to score, the opposite in this case. Next game, also nothing to play for. Gladbach, Wolfsburg, no European competitions next season for Gladbach. Again, we must say, lost to Bayern Munich is a really bad end of the season. 2 points in the last 6 games. They could have challenged, actually, for Europe because they are not that far. But again, the end of the season was quite poor for Wolfsburg. The season overall has been poor. It's 3 points in the last 9 games. The last win, Ronan, was the 1st of March.
Yeah, they haven't won in 9 games, but at least they scored twice in the 2-2 draw with Hoffenheim last weekend under their interim coach 𝗛𝗲𝗏, who had stepped up from the under-19s. And Gladbach, like you said, yeah, if they had done more in defence, they might have been able to be knocking on the door of Europe, but they just couldn't stop conceding goals. And they've actually scored 2 or more goals in each of the last 4 games, and they haven't won in 6 games. So it's kind of crazy that they can score so many goals, but they can't pick up 3 points in any sort of match. And they're similar. They can finish 8 in the table, so that's outside of Europe this season with no extra Champions League place and no place for the cup to be dropped down. So yeah, Gladbach a high of 8 and a low of 11th. And Wolfsburg, like we said with Union Berlin, they're not going to score 8 goals, and Union are not going to or they're not going to concede 8 here, and Union are not going to score 8 in their game. So yeah, they're going to finish 12th. This is another one where Wolfsburg are going to finish 12th. The only thing is that Wolfsburg probably are on paper performing a bit better. They've drawn as many games as they've won, 10 games this season in the Bundesliga. Both teams nearly have the exact same goal difference, 55 goals for both teams. Gladbach have conceded 56. Wolfsburg have conceded 54. So draw for this one, 437 could be a good option. Another draw, like 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 in the comments is saying, yeah, a draw, but yeah. Yeah, correct score 2-2 is only 12, so I'm not going to tip that one because I was hoping it'd be a bit higher. I think this could be a match with goals, but also a draw. So Wolfsburg double chance could be a better one, a safer way than going for the draw, because at least you kind of give yourself 2 chances, as it says on the tin.
Well, draw is also possible, indeed. Well, when there is nothing to play for, the draw is always a good idea. Next one, here we have things on stake. We have Dortmund. Kiel back to the Bundesliga 2 with the defeat last weekend at home against Freiburg, despite the previous wins against Augsburg and Gladbach. Remember also that they beat Dortmund at home long time ago. But now it's important for Dortmund because they are still fighting for the Champions League spot. They are having a really good end of the season, beating Leverkusen, as you predicted, if I'm not wrong. 2-4 is 4 consecutive wins in the Bundesliga, 6 wins and 1 draw in the last games. So really pushing Ronan towards the Champions League finish. I guess good numbers for the newish manager.
Yeah, definitely good. Since he's taken over, he has 25 points. Borussia Dortmund have 25 points since 𝐿_𝐵𝐻 has taken over. And the only team with more is Bayern Munich with 28. So if they had him all season, they'd be second in theory. So yeah. 𝐿_𝐵𝐻 has done a great job at Borussia Dortmund since taking over, and they will continue with him next season, and you can see why, because he's obviously done well in the past in the Bundesliga. He had a hard time at Bayern Munich, but a lot of managers have a hard time at Bayern Munich. 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 Nagelsmann, you see, was kind of forced out at Bayern Munich, and now his Germany are kind of one of the best international teams in the world, and they're one of the favourites for the World Cup next year. So yeah, don't think anything. If you fail at Bayern Munich, don't think anything of it. Oh, another person that failed at Bayern Munich is in the news this week. Carlo Ancelotti, you might remember him from such times as Real Madrid and all those Champions League titles. But yeah, so 𝐿_𝐵𝐻 is doing a great job. He will be looking to win this one, obviously, because this is the biggest match of their season. They can finish in as high as 3rd, probably 4th, and a low of 7th, but that's very unlikely considering RB Leipzig's goal difference. So they definitely should be back in Europe. And when he took over, they didn't look like they were going to be in Europe. Kiel are definitely going to finish 17th. The goal difference is not going to be that massive between them and Bochum. So yeah, I think this could be a match where Borussia Dortmund score goals like we saw last week. 𝗀𝗏𝗏 has 63 goals in his first 100 Bundesliga appearances. It's the second most for a non-German player in Bundesliga history after Roy McCoy, who had a great start at Bayern Munich, and that's where he scored all his goals. Pascal Gross, he's 1 assist away from equaling a very bizarre record. He has 10 assists and no goals, and only Philipp Lahm has more assists without scoring in the Bundesliga, but Pascal Gross is suspended, so he won't get to break that this weekend. And this is one where all the value is hard to bet on Borussia Dortmund to win, because 112, you have to bet on something a bit kind of more and look for value a bit elsewhere. Kiel won 4-2 earlier this season, but the last home game that Borussia Dortmund played against Kiel, they won 5-0 against Kiel. So yeah, Borussia Dortmund 5 wins in a row in all competitions. They've scored 3 or more goals in each of those 5 wins. So yeah, home is 140, could be an option. That's a bit better than the 112 to win, but it's still not great. So you have to go even bigger. And Dortmund Asian handicap minus 2.75 could be the way to go here, because if Borussia Dortmund are going to win, they're going to try and win as big as possible, because they have to ensure that they are in the Champions League next season and they are a team capable of scoring lots of goals.
If Dortmund and Frankfurt are level on points, we go to the goal average, right?
Yeah, it's a points and then goal difference and then goal scored, and then the 4th one is head-to-head, and then it's head-to-head away goals, I think, or something. There's something bizarre for the 5th one, but you never get to that anyway. Yeah.
Well, it's plus 20 for Frankfurt, plus 17 for Dortmund. So indeed, goals are very important to qualify for the Champions League. 3-0 correct score for 𝐬𝐵. It would be enough, actually, for Borussia Dortmund. Because next one, we have the key game for this Champions League battle. Freiburg, Frankfurt. Frankfurt could have been qualified for the Champions League, but they drew at home with Pauli, and they drew with Mainz before that. So actually the draw would be enough for Frankfurt, but if they lose, they are in big trouble, Ronan. For Freiburg, they must win to qualify, because if Dortmund win and Frankfurt don't, they are out of the Champions League.
Yeah, so either of these teams can finish anywhere between third and fifth. So yeah, this is the biggest game in the Bundesliga this season, I suppose you could say, because everything else is kind of confirmed. But this one match will determine everything for everybody else. And Dortmund have it in their hands. Like I said, if they win 5-0, they should be fine. But yeah, the Frankfurt need to draw here. But matches that you need to draw are always kind of these cautious affairs. That if you score and go level, what happens if you go behind? So they have to both teams here have to give it their all. Frankfurt won 4-1 earlier this season, and the games were 3-3 in Freiburg and 0-0 last season. So there was draws last season, but Frankfurt have the upper hand this season. Freiburg are 5 games without a defeat, 4 wins in those 5 games, but Frankfurt's 4 games without a defeat. They've only 1 game. So these teams aren't losing at the moment, but Frankfurt seems to be drawing a lot more games than Freiburg are. But this one is very hard to predict a 1 or 2 to see who is going to win this one. So that's why I'm kind of looking a bit elsewhere. Both teams to score has happened in 4 of Freiburg's last 5 games, 63% of Frankfurt's total games. So both teams to score, yes, is a good option. You could have an accumulator this weekend with 3 or 4 games with both teams to score yes in them. It could be the way to go, because the final weekend of the Bundesliga usually has a lot of games with lots of goals in it. Even some of the matches where you think that there might necessarily be high-scoring matches, because you see some of these younger players, and younger players maybe are prone to make mistakes. So, yeah, more teams to score yes is a good one here, because there's so much on the line. Total goals over 2.5 has happened 69% of the time for Freiburg, 63% of the time for Frankfurt. So that's why I'm going for total goals over 3 at 188, because I cannot guarantee either of these teams is going to win this match. It is impossible to know what's going on, because Freiburg, on their day, they can easily win this match. And Frankfurt, on their day, they could easily win this match too.
Very, very interesting. This game, both teams to score an over 2.5 goals for 𝐬𝐵. Let's see if Freiburg can get their first ever Champions League qualification, or we have again Frankfurt and Dortmund in the competition when again Frankfurt this season played the Europa League. Next one is Heidenheim, Werder Bremen. Great win for Heidenheim against Union Berlin. So they are not going to be directly relegated, 7 points out of the last 9, but very likely they are going to play the playouts at the end of the season. Ronan, they are playing in this final day against Werder Bremen. There are slim options to catch Pauli and Hoffenheim, but if I'm not mistaken, the goal difference is really negative for Heidenheim. So slim, very slim.
Yeah, they need a 6-goal swing in their favour over Hoffenheim really to do it. So they would need to score a couple of goals themselves. There may be only 1, because we've seen Bayern Munich have big wins in the past. But yeah, Heidenheim, they can finish outside the relegation zone, so they need Bayern Munich to do them a huge favour. But stranger things have happened, and then they're kind of the Bayern Munich are on holidays in Ibiza this week. Some of their players went there to celebrate the title win, but Heidenheim's kind of all the people at the club are saying that it doesn't really matter. They have to focus on their own game, and they're determined to win this match, and they don't think that Bayern Munich are going to take the foot off the gas, even after partying so much this week. And Bremen, they're 8 in the table, a high of 6th, but they're not going to score 18 goals for them. Their swing is even bigger to qualify for Europe. That's not going to really happen. So the realistic high for them is 8th. They're going to finish 8th in the table, or a low of 10th. So Bremen, they're going to be a mid-table team and finish the season. Mid-table, Bremen, they're unbeaten in 7 with 4 wins, then 3 draws. So I'd say they'd be happy enough with a draw here. Heidenheim unbeaten in 3. They beat Stuttgart and Union Berlin through with Bochum. So Heidenheim, they have a lot to play for in this one. The most common result is 2-1 to Heidenheim. Heidenheim won 2-1 away last season, as well as 4-2 at home. It was 3-3 in Bremen earlier in January. So Heidenheim they have been good against Werder Bremen recently. So Heidenheim to win 247 doesn't look too bad, but maybe double down on that and go Heidenheim Asian handicap 0 to play a bit safer for 185, because they need a result here. They need to win here, but Bremen will be happy enough with a draw. I don't really think they care too much about winning this one. So Heidenheim Asian handicap 0 could be a good option.
All right. Next one is Hoffenheim, Bayern Munich. Hoffenheim, as you mentioned, also they are 3 points above Heidenheim, almost safe. Even if the season had been really poor, and also the end of the season, 2 points in the last 4 games, plenty of goals, 2-2 with Wolfsburg, 4-4 with Gladbach, for instance. And this is the final day for Thomas Müller at Bayern Munich, for instance. We saw Bayern Munich celebrating the title against Gladbach, and we saw Harry Kane scoring again.
Yeah, this was a kind of big weekend for Bayern Munich. We thought maybe they'd score more goals, because usually they do when they win the title, but they're happy enough to get the win and have the celebrations. And then they went off to Ibiza, like I said. 13 of their players went to Ibiza, but Max 𝐸, the sporting director there, said that it's not going to affect them, that these players are professionals, they know exactly what's at stake, and they'll give everything to win against Hoffenheim. So Heidenheim will be hoping that they give everything to beat Hoffenheim, and yeah, if they can get similar performances that Michael Olise has been putting in recently, maybe they will get it, because he's had a goal and an assist in each of the last 3 games for Bayern Munich, so he's doing pretty well. Bayern Munich as well, there's actually a record at stake for them, and the record ties in nicely to the result the Heidenheim need. Bayern Munich needs 6 goals to equal their best ever goal scoring record in the Bundesliga, with 101 goals back in 1971-72. So Bayern Munich scoring 6 goals, it could happen. They won 5-0 against Hoffenheim earlier this season, and back in 2020 they won 6-0 away at Hoffenheim. So it has happened in the last 5 years. Maybe it could happen again. Hoffenheim are 4 games without a win. They've scored 2 goals in each of them, so maybe it'll have to be 8-2 for that one to come in. So yeah, Bayern Munich, they're on a great run at the moment. They haven't lost since that defeat to Bochum back in March, unbeaten in 8 games. Manuel Neuer is back in goal. He became the second oldest Bayern Munich player in the Bundesliga history last week. So he might be conceding here. Both teams to score again is a decent option. 66% of the time for Hoffenheim, 52% of the time for Bayern Munich. 140. It's nearly as good as betting on Bayern Munich just to win. Total goals over 3.5. Another decent option here. 168. I was looking around for any sort of value that we can go on. And like I said in I think it was last week's show, that Bayern Munich don't tend to concede goals early. So Bayern Munich to score first could be a good option. 144. Another one that I had a look at, because Bayern usually win the first half of matches. They've been winning at half time in 55% of their games with a goal difference plus 27. So my main tip to get some value from this game is Bayern Munich to win the first half. And that might tie in nicely to the fact that they were partying. Maybe they'll get tired, but maybe that won't be till the second half. So first half, Bayern Munich, 191.
Correct score 3-1 for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 in this game. Then we have RB Leipzig, Stuttgart. RB Leipzig risking not playing European football next season. It will be a huge disappointment. Already it's a big failure not qualifying for the Champions League. They drew with Werder Bremen. There is no wins in the last 4 games. And we have also Stuttgart. They won't play Europe next season. Remember, we saw both teams in the Champions League this season, but they won both games, last 2 games, Stuttgart against Augsburg and Pauli.
Yeah, they might play Europe this season because of the cup final that they're probably focused on now. So that has to lead into how we feel about this game, because maybe Stuttgart will be more focused on the cup final. 𝐿 Stiller is out with an ankle injury, and what they're saying is that they hope he'll be back for the cup final, so they're not really going to risk him in this one, and everything is going to be looking forward to that cup final, because that's their only chance to qualify for Europe. They're playing Arminia Bielefeld, who are a 3rd division team in Germany, so they are heavy favourites for that cup final. Leipzig, they need to do everything in their power to win this one. Then the result has to be better than what Mainz get for them to qualify for Europe. So they have to get a better result than Mainz. So they really need to win this one. I know we've said at different times during the season that Leipzig is a must-win game, or they should score here, and then they've let us down time and time again. But maybe this is the time that they don't, because Stuttgart, like I said, they have their minds out, definitely have their minds elsewhere. I know some of the other teams, they're kind of looking forward to the summer, but Stuttgart have something in the next 2 weeks that they really need to focus on, and that's the cup. The last 6 meetings between both these sides are both teams to score yes. So if you are going for another both teams to score yes here, this could go in your both teams to score yes accumulator at 137. Stuttgart have won each of the last 3 meetings with RB Leipzig, but all of those meetings were in Stuttgart, including the cup semi-final. Leipzig are probably kicking themselves, looking for revenge for that. The last 6 meetings that they've played in Leipzig, Leipzig have won every one of those 6. So in Leipzig are going to win again at 2-11 or 2-10. I think maybe it might be updated to this morning since I checked last night. So, yeah, RB Leipzig need to win this one, and they're going to win this one 2-11.
Well, they disappointed us so many times this season that it's risky trusting them too much. And then we have Mainz Leverkusen. Mainz, another team challenging for the European spots right now, 6th in the standings, thanks to the win against Bochum 4-1. They were winless in the previous 7 games, so it's a must win for them. For Leverkusen, they had a farewell party for Xabi Alonso in the last game, home game against Dortmund. So now is the actual farewell for the Spanish manager. Leverkusen, since they were knocked out by Bielefeld in the cup semi-finals, is only 1 win in the last 5 Bundesliga games.
Yeah, Mainz ended a 7-game winless run with that 4-1 win over Bochum, and Leverkusen, they lost again last weekend. They drew 2-2 with Freiburg the previous week, and then they lost 4-2 to Borussia Dortmund last weekend. So Xabi Alonso's Bayern goodbye wasn't exactly what they were hoping for on the score sheet, but I don't think it matters because they are guaranteed second. They cannot come higher, they cannot come lower. It is second for them in the Bundesliga. So that's a successful season for Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. Mainz, like we said in the Leipzig game, they need to equal Leipzig's result. If they draw and Leipzig draw, that's perfect. If they lose and Leipzig lose, that's perfect for them. They'll get into Europe. So they can come 6th or 7th. There's a slim chance they could come 5th, but they need a 5-goal swing, and they're playing Leverkusen, so it's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, they're likely to come 6th unless Leipzig outdo them, and that means that this is a must-win game for them. And if this is another one that could be another both teams to score yes game, 148. If you want to put some small money in there, I think 𝐿𝐴 has both teams scoring over 2.5 goals. That could be a good option in this one, but I do like the look of a Mainz win, because if you look at Xabi Alonso, he's played Mainz 4 times. The last 3 matches have been all wins for Leverkusen, but the first one was a win for Mainz, 3-2 win for Mainz in Xabi Alonso's. So maybe he'll bookend his games against Mainz with 2 defeats to Mainz. So yeah, 225 for Mainz win, because this is such a huge match for Mainz and Leverkusen. They have nothing to play for. It's the last game of a few of the players. Frimpong seems to be off to Liverpool. Granit Xhaka is going to leave as well. There's even big talk this week about Florian Wirtz, where he's going next, and Xabi Alonso is gone. So yeah, Mainz to win. I think you could put a small bit on, because the odds look very good, and Mainz need to win. Leverkusen, nothing to play.
Where do you think Florian Wirtz is going?
Bayern Munich. I know we saw pictures from Bild of his father and agent, his mother in Manchester, talking to Guardiola, but I think Bayern Munich is the place where he wants to go. It's just a matter of Bayern Munich finding the money for him, because they need to obviously balance the books. And Bayern Munich are one of them sort of clubs, so they might need to make a couple of sales. But Man City are a team that I think maybe you could see Florian Wirtz go to and be wasted, like we've seen some players in the past that are really talented players, and then it's too mathematical for them. Whereas at Bayern Munich, he obviously has the chance to win more silverware. He would be an immediate starter. He'd play every single game. You might necessarily say the same thing at Man City, and the way the Wirtz family has kind of orchestrated his career so far, they've made the right choices for him kind of every step along the way. And for him, at the moment, the best step seems to be Bayern Munich next, because he would fit into that team perfectly, start every game, win the Bundesliga, good chance to win the Champions League. So it's the right place to go. And it's in Germany, obviously, that really helps too.
Well, Ronan, and we have our final game in the final weekend after analyzing so many games. And this year, there we go. St. Pauli, Bochum. By the way, next season we are going to have a Hamburg derby, because Hamburg are promoted and St. Pauli is staying in the Bundesliga, in the return to the Bundesliga. They drew with Frankfurt, so it's 3 draws in the last 4 games, again, to stay in the Bundesliga. The opposite for Bochum, relegated after the miracle last season. This season they couldn't do it, and I saw some impactful images from Bochum also, with the supporters thanking the team, the manager, for the effort, despite being the last ones in this Bundesliga.
Yeah, I think the second half of the season, if they had played maybe since 𝐿𝐭𝐿 was appointed, if they had played like that all season, they might have had a better chance of staying up. But yeah, it was just too much for them in the Bundesliga this season. And yeah, it's hard for teams with small budgets like Bochum to compete in the Bundesliga, because there are a lot of teams who spend a lot more money. But St. Pauli, they showed that they were able to do it this season, and we have, like you said, that Hamburg derby to look forward to, and it's always one of the most entertaining matches in European football. In world football, it's kind of a very heated affair, because there's so much history between the two sides, and they kind of come from two different kind of cultures that are meeting. And yeah, it should be interesting to see the scenes next season on and off the pitch when we have the Hamburg derby back in the Bundesliga. For this one, Bochum, they're 18th. They can finish 17th in theory, but they need 12 goals on Kiel. So I haven't checked the odds of a 12-0 win for Bochum here, but I don't think it's going to happen. St. Pauli as well, like you said earlier, they're not really going to be dragged into that relegation spot, because they need to take a 13-goal difference for them. So maybe if Kiel or Bochum did win 12-0 here, that could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. St. Pauli, they've actually had decent enough form recently, 4 draws and 1 win in the last 6. Bochum's last 6, they also have 1 win, but they have 3 defeats. And that 1 win was 6 games ago against Heidenheim, so they're on a very bad run at the moment. St. Pauli win 169. Looks pretty good to end the season on a high at home in front of their home fans. They haven't given their home fans as much to cheer about as their away fans this season, so it would be nice for them to end the season with a win. Bochum won 1-0 earlier this season. Average goals for these teams is 0.8 versus 0.9, or 0.9 versus 0.8. These are the 2 worst teams in front of goals in the Bundesliga. So total goals under 3 in this one, 189. I'll be happy enough. But for the last time this season, the final countdown, as our producer Daniel said earlier, I'm going to go with a correct score. And this is my final correct score in the Bundesliga this season. Correct score, 1-0 for St. Pauli at 9:20. Only put a tiny bit on it if you want to go for that. But we have had some success with correct scores this season, including a 10 coming in a couple of weeks ago.
Well, for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, this is going to be a draw between St. Pauli and Bochum. Well, guys, this is it for the Bundesliga. Of course, you still have the chance to participate in our tipster competitions. There you go. You can see the ones that are live and available for you, where you can win up to $1,000. Everything is very clear and easy to use. And also we have rivals, where you can create your own tipster competitions. There you go. Well, Ronan, let's go with your final safe bet.
My safe bet is Freiburg versus Frankfurt over 2.25 goals at 140.
And the ACCA?
My ACCA also has the same game in it. So Freiburg, Frankfurt over 3 goals, and Heidenheim Asian handicap 0 for a total of 348.
Okay. Thank you, Ronan. Thanks. It's been a pleasure analyzing with you the Bundesliga this season. I hope, guys, you also enjoy it, and in the way you make some money with Ronan's tips. And see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.